episode of Kate and Isaiah Living Large. I'm Isaiah.
And I'm Kate.
And again, we are joined by Matt for a second week. Welcome back, Matt. We clearly have not changed clothes.
I
we all decided we're the same clothes.
Yeah, when we first started recording 2 episodes at once, we used to change. So there was some.
We could have changed.
We don't even pretend anymore. We're like, yeah, it's Sunday.
One day Isaiah goes with he dyes his beard for
Right.
one.
Just goes super red.
I was gonna say just dyed dark again. So it's like we were doing this 6 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
So we're back with Matt Kennan here. Thank you again for joining us. We're really happy. And on our last episode, we spoke about how you've kind of encountered some weight gain later in life, and by later in life, not as a teenager, in your 20s, and then faced some health crisis with colitis at 30. And now we're going to talk about your most recent journey. And the reason we invited you here today is because we both noticed that you've been actively posting on Facebook your current journey with your current weight loss. So maybe tell us a little bit about that. So where you started and where you're at now.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, maybe it's a little bit of a backstory.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
I am a very probably ADHD, just undiagnosed, but very I like to know the why when I'm doing things. And so with kind of anything, I always if I find any interest in it, or if I can find an interest in it and just lock in and learn more in depth, I feel like it's a lot easier for me to kind of stick to something. And that's kind of obviously stand up. That in the early days of stand up, it was just absorb as much stand up as possible, and kind of see which type of stand up comedy I prefer to kind of help influence my writing, see what people do, what they don't do, learn about mannerisms, all that stuff like that. And then that's just kind of been the way I think I have lived, especially my adult life, is just find it if I find some interest in something and I can kind of deep dive into it, then I feel like it's a lot learn something and for the process and stick to something. And so with weight loss, so this was my third. The first time was early 20s. I went vegetarian, cut out alcohol, pot. I just went I don't know if it was necessarily the best move, but I lost a good chunk of weight, and then poverty hit, and ramen noodles are vegetarian, kind of vegetarian, if you don't read the seasoning packet label. And so then weight kind of came back, and then I was just why am I doing this vegetarian thing anyway? I'm just a fat guy again, but now I'm not eating meat.
I am so slow.
So I think I did vegetarian for it was a year and a half, but I only benefited from it for probably 6 months.
When you were eating vegetables.
Yeah, when I was eating vegetables.
Yeah.
And then during COVID, I got up to my then heaviest, and I was okay, I need to dial this back. So then I started making sure that I got my steps in, and I did keto. I did that, and I lost a lot of weight quickly. And I took a deep dive into keto and kind of understood it. Did it the healthy way, where I think many people can kind of go about it the wrong way, and they're
the bacon and cheese way.
They're just excessive bacon and cheese, and
as much bacon as I want to eat.
Well, you could have a lettuce wrapped burger every day on keto, and or just have a keto bun. And it's like, that's not necessarily good for you.
No, your sodium is through the roof.
Your sodium is through the roof, and it's not good fats that you're kind of consuming. So for me, it was just kind of like lean meats and like healthy fats. And then I kind of also go back into work, and I was in Toronto, so I was in the film industry. I was doing a lot of getting a lot of steps. It was like an easy day for me was still like 20,000 steps, like 30 plus thousand. And then I just kind of got to a point where I was in like full-fledged ketosis and lost a lot of weight quickly, but I was not like, I didn't feel like I was starving myself because I never felt overly hungry. But that's hard to maintain the moment you try to have any like a social.
Yeah.
And then when I came back, maintained it through my 2 weeks of self-isolation, but then I was staying at my parents' place and I didn't have a vehicle, and I was in Hampton. It's not really walking distance to the grocery store. So it just became a lot of like eating what was in the house and to put it all back on. And then so now like more recently was just like I got like Norwalk, and I just an absolutely terrible day of just hating my life. And then at the end of the day, I was like, well, the silver lining is I've probably lost some weight. And I stepped on the scale, and it was the heaviest that I've ever, like it's the most I'd ever seen on the scale. And I was like, if that's what the scale looks like after a day of this, I should probably do something.
But you kind of described a cycle, that yo-yo cycle that so many of us who struggle with their weight have done over and over and over again. With me, I've always been tall. I'm not tall. I'm an average height now for a woman. Yeah, I know. But I was a tall kid, so I've been the same height since I was in the 5th grade. I'm 5'7", which is very tall at 11.
Yeah. So
And
taller than me at 11.
yeah, so I was taller than every boy. Trust me, I've heard it. I'd go out with her. She wasn't so tall. It was a sentence I heard more than once.
Weird thing. Who cares about height?
Yeah. Well, they were like more than a head shorter than me. It was a lot.
It's a pride thing for them.
Well, it was grade 5. I guess I'll get over it. Maybe. But with me, I always kind of struggled with my weight, but when I look back on it now, I was like, I was not fat. I was just heavier than everyone else in my class because I was a full-grown adult size in elementary school. Yeah. And I think I did my first weight loss plan. Like, I think I joined Weight Watchers for the first time when I was 13 or 14. And then creeping up through high school, by grade 12, I'd gained weight. And then I lost 30 pounds. And then, it was the summer between grade 8 and 9 that I put on my first big chunk of weight. I'd gone to stay with my aunt and uncle for a month or something. And we always ate pretty healthy at home because mom's always battled their weight. It's a very generational thing. And my dad has high blood pressure. So we always cooked like low sodium, low fat at home for those reasons. So it was always kind of kept at bay. And I was an active kid as well. I played soccer, did whatever. But I went away and I had like no rules. And I was because I had no rules. I was like, yeah, you have a deep fryer. Let's eat nuggets all the time and pop up the yin yang, which I just never had at home. So in like a month and a half, I gained 20 pounds or something, which is crazy. Yeah. And then it just kind of ballooned from there for me. University, lost 30 pounds, gained 50. And, from the time I was 20 till now, I'm up more than 200 pounds, which is terrifying. When these are very real numbers, but it all happened that yo-yo way, like down, up more. And you're like, you look at the scale. Oh, this is terrifying. Let's do something. And then life happens. You lose some. And then all of a sudden, that was terrifying. Got to nip that in the bud. And with some very, very terrifying numbers, like during the pandemic, you talk about how you did your second weight loss at that time. I had lost 50 or 60 pounds pre-pandemic. I'd been and was very regularly going to the gym. And for the first 2 weeks of the pandemic, like everyone else, I was like, all the junk food, let's do. Then I thought to myself at the top floor of my walk up, oh God, if I don't nip this in the bud now, I might have to get like a tractor to get out of here.
Like crane lifted
out of my apartment. So I was like, oh, better do something about this. So I kind of kept things at bay, but just that same like, ooh, that's sticker shock almost of the scale of like, ooh, no, I'm gonna do this. Ooh, no, I can't walk. Like it's not great. So it's good that you identified as you have, and it sounds like for you are doing it in a very maintainable way. Like
that was the biggest shift now
in your current state, because like keto, I've heard so many good things in terms of losing weight quickly, but the minute you, like you say, want to go to someone's house for a meal or go to a restaurant or do anything quote unquote normal, because our entire society is built around eating and drinking and merriment, right? It's like, oh, I can't do anything about this now. So tell us, maybe I talked a lot about myself there because I make myself the star of this podcast at all times.
Always.
Sure, it's you too.
Oh no, it's mostly just me.
She's the star.
This is our dynamic. When it comes, what I was so like inspired by and what you've been posting lately is your tips and tricks. Like, if you want a Caesar salad, eat a Caesar salad. So maybe talk a little bit about some of those that you've discovered.
So what this is, I work in like the restaurant world, so I'm around food a lot, and I'm also very good at like eyeballing portion sizes. But a food scale is a lifesaver, especially for anything that is like low volume, high calories, because those are the things that will usually get you. And then avoiding liquid calories at pretty much all costs.
Mm-hmm.
Those have been like the two biggest changes. And then so for me, it's just been kind of like finding replacements for like I to me, I don't want to. I want to be able to have things on hand and know kind of what I can eat. Like, okay, like obviously I have 2 young kids, summertime, and we go out a lot. Like once a week we still go for ice cream. So I just make sure taking that into consideration when I go about my day. Like, you know, generally usually it's Friday, but it's not always Friday. Depends on what's going on. But I'll just kind of accommodate for that. But it's just like reading nutritional facts, understanding like your basal metabolic unit. So like basal metabolic rate, BMR, is like what you're burning by just existing, and that varies based off of your age, gender, weight, height, all that stuff. So it's different for everybody, but just like that's no activity whatsoever. That's just what you will burn by just like being in a coma. And then when you kind of know what the bare minimum that you're gonna burn in a run of a day. So like even if you are just like having one of those, I just need to lay on the couch and like watch TV kind of days, you know, kind of if you don't exceed that number, then you're hitting a maintenance. And just kind of when you know what it is that you're burning, I just found it a lot easier to kind of work within that. And then so for me, it's just kind of like what do I want to have? What do I still want to enjoy? What am I willing to sacrifice to enjoy those things? And I still obviously really enjoy food, but like Domino's pizza, I'll do the ultra thin crust pizza because then I feel a little bit better if I'm having pizza. But then I still will take into consideration, and I won't pair Domino's with McDonald's and with something else. Like I avoid.
You don't just put
I
All
just
three
yeah,
put them
don't
on top?
triple stack. So then I'll do like I avoid deep fried food, liquid calories, and just like it's just been kind of about finding alternatives. I eat a lot of Greek yogurt, protein yogurt in general, and just making sure that I'm eating enough protein and getting a good amount of fiber too. And those in itself will help make you feel full already. And if you can kind of find larger volumes for lower calories of those things, then you have the fun calories that you still get to play with later in the day.
Right.
So like that's kind of like for me, like I try to maintain like 2,000 calories a day, and I just do like I view it as like 4 chunks of 500. So if I can have like 500 per meal and then have 500 that are like my fun calories, whether it's for a snack at the end of the day, whether it's because I want to eat a little bit more with one meal or I want to go out to eat, like that type of thing. That's just kind of what's allowed it to work for me, is knowing and just being very finding foods that I like, and then yeah, like looking at the nutritional facts and just kind of comparing. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go with this one because this still gives me that like it helps with this craving, this overall craving that this one is gonna help with as well, but it feels like the better choice from like a calorie
Give me an example of one of those.
A very simple one is like the rice minis, like the instead of chips.
Do you find you get the same feeling from that?
I get that crunch, and I get they got so many different like salt and vinegar and like all dress and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So you get that kind of like chip kind of craving. You get to help with that. And then now there's other ones. So there's like some like fava bean puffs
Oh yeah.
that are very it's like a kind of a hybrid between like a cheesy and like the rice minis, but it's got more protein. So then I'm like, well, from a calorie standpoint, they're basically the same, but this one has protein. So technically I could eat this entire bag and it could just count as a meal.
Yeah.
There's those Quest chips. Have you tried those?
Quest chips I'd like, but they're so expensive.
They're very
Those are like
expensive.
a go-to because they're like a go-to if I eat a lot of protein bars, and I eat a lot of like when life is busy, just having those things on hand are great. But I do like having like real food that like enjoy.
Yeah.
But like I think it's Bearbell is the brand, or Barbell. I don't know. It's a protein bar, but they have these protein bars that taste like a Mars.
Oh yes,
a Snickers bar?
They're the ones that just came into Costco. Right?
Maybe, I don't know. But they have, and I'm like,
I've seen those.
but like that's like a good like alternative to having like a chocolate bar because they more protein and you don't feel as bad.
That's fair.
You know, it's a lot more expensive. So if you're looking at, but to me, like I think like you kind of talked about like sticker shock. Like that was like a thing to adjust to, is just it's gonna cost more to grab a protein bar as opposed to just like a chocolate bar from like. But if you are willing to like kind of make that sacrifice and know that it's better for you in the long run, it's that's kind of the approach that I've had, as opposed to just grabbing a chocolate bar because it's $1, $2 in the aisle when I'm paying for the groceries. I'm gonna I'll spend the $5, but I'll feel a little bit better about that.
You find when you talk, it's interesting that you bring up the cost of things, and we've done episodes about the cost of healthier food choices versus unhealthier food choices. Do you think that there should be a sin tax on unhealthy food, much like there is for alcohol and smoking and things like that?
I think it gets tough because it's like, where do you draw the line? Because like, at which are we like? Are we talking pop? Are we talking?
I think
Candy bar, like
pop's the obvious one because that's one that's been
there's
discussed.
literally no nutritional value to it, and like, but then it's like, are you only taxing on the pop with sugar? Like,
Right.
what about the zero? Like, is it like Coke Zero, and then it's like, well, everybody's got these like thoughts on like aspartame and things like that, and it's just like, well, aspartame, sure. I'm not saying any of those things are good for you.
No,
Like, we
but
do know that sugar is not good for you as well,
Yeah.
refined sugar. So it's like, it's just trading one bad thing for another potentially, but one bad thing for sure leads to weight gain and other issues, and the other one may lead to other issues, but not obvious weight gain. Like,
just
so I don't
cancer.
know. Yeah, just so it's like, well, you can have cancer. At least you can live long enough to get cancer. Some people, if the sugar takes you out before the cancer does,
you might make it, but you'll lose a foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's I think like, I mean, I do. I don't know. I don't know. I think that I don't think it solves anything.
No.
I think it just what makes more money for the government. But what does it do to society? I don't think that people are going to make. Some people are eating that way because that's all they can afford.
Or that's something they know.
Some people, that's all they know. I think. I mean, and I've always kind of felt this way. It's just that the school system was never designed to help people succeed until you get to paying for an education. It's like, I mean, in marketing, it's always like talk about like a lead magnet. I feel like school, the earlier days, is like, we're going to give you the bare minimum to get by, but then you're gonna have to pay for anything significant, anything to like anything beneficial. Because like, they don't really teach you about like basic like economics in high school. They don't teach you. There's like not a lot taught about like health and like basic, like how to do your tax. Like, there's like a lot of things that I feel like should be more important than many of the things that they do cover in high school.
Right.
And I think unless they're willing to do that, I don't think that it's add the tax to junk food that educate people on the
Right. It's not as cut and dry as cigarettes and alcohol.
yeah.
Because it's almost like it's the same as having an addiction to food versus having addiction to cigarettes and alcohol. All of them are hard. Like, it's not easy to give up alcohol. It's not easy to give up smoking. Once you've done it, it's literally an addiction. But when you make that decision and when you have the supports, you can actively avoid drinking and smoking, but you cannot avoid eating.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of goes to the same from a taxation point of view. And I've never actually made this leap before as taxing them, because it is so nuanced. You still need to eat.
Yeah, no matter what, you need to eat. And then it's just like, if people that are kind of living in poverty that are eating this way because like from a financial standpoint, if you start taxing them, then they're just not less,
Right.
or they're like even more because they can't afford other things. Like, it's like whatever few things that they maybe can afford,
Right.
that they get enjoyment out of, they now can't because they're now paying an additional tax on the food that they're eating.
Right.
But I also think at the same time, there's like there is ways to eat healthier that doesn't cost more.
Right.
When you understand, when you have a better understanding of food.
So back to what you were talking about, calories. How you're counting calories, basically.
Yeah.
How are you doing that? Do you have an app? Do you just kind of have an idea, like how you?
Now it's just mostly in my head, but I kind of have a handful of foods that are staples that I deal with. I used to use like MyFitnessPal.
Yep.
That was kind of like the go-to. And then like, and I do think that like if somebody like wants to lose weight, like, I think that a food scale and counting calories, even if you don't change anything about your lifestyle, it can just be eye-opening. Because then you can kind of actually see what your intake really is. I think that's the big thing, because like cutting back on portions doesn't necessarily mean anything if like what you're eating is not good. Like sometimes it's just literally like keep the same portion size, but just remove excess carbs and excess like fats, and then all of a sudden, but it like replace that with more fiber and more like, so like add more veg and add more like protein, and just kind of reduce the rice or reduce the oil that is used in everything. And it's like still have that stuff because it's still important, and there's nutritional value to all of it, but like sometimes it's just as simple. Like I've seen like on like TikTok and stuff like that, like a lot of like side by sides of like very similar meals, and then this one's over 1,000 calories and this one's like 500. It's just like, so like so carbs, 1 gram of carbs is 4 calories, 1 gram of protein is fat is not fat, like a tablespoon oil, that's 15
Don't do math here.
that's you're getting almost a couple hundred calories just from a tablespoon of oil. That can be
135
just,
calories or something.
yeah, by just a little bit of pan spray or something. So just like those little things, it's just like, because like a tablespoon isn't a significant amount when you're eating something, but like if you're aiming for 500 calorie meal, and then all of a sudden, 15-20% of that comes just from the oil that you used to cook the food. Like it wasn't even like viewed as like an ingredient. It was just like one of the utensils used to cook the ingredient. Then it can add up quickly. And then when you're like dealing with like restaurants or generally kind of go heavy on, or like ground beef, if you like a regular ground beef versus like an extra lean, like the calorie difference is substantial. So like just like certain things like that, where you realize that you can eat just as much food as you may currently be eating, but just by making simple adjustments. So like that's where I'm like, if you track your calories and you weigh everything in the beginning, even if you don't make a change, just to see what you actually are eating, and then just focus on adjusting. That's why like liquid calories for me was a big one, because I would have 2, maybe 3 cans of pop in the day, and then I would have like coffee creamer, and I'd have a couple with coffee creamer in it. And it's like you look at the back and that's the other thing, you look at the back of the nutritional facts on like the like International Delight, and it's like something like 25 calories per serving, and then you put a serving in and it doesn't change the color of the coffee at all, and you're like, oh shit, like I'm using like I'm using like 200 calories worth of coffee creamer in this thing, thinking that it's a serving. So all of a sudden that 25 calories that you thought was actually like 150, 200 there.
Yeah.
And it's just like those little things that all of a sudden add up, and then half of your calories is just things that you could have very easily avoided.
Yeah. I think you're right on that one, especially is just understanding serving sizes is a big puzzle, right? Because when we think of serving sizes, everyone just thinks of American serving sizes, basically is what they quote it as, but they're like massive serving, not the actual amount that.
Yeah. You look at craft dinner, I think it's like 350 calories prepared. That's probably, and I think now prepared is with like skimmed milk, not even whole milk anymore. Something like 350 calories. That's for like a third of the box.
Right.
So like all of a sudden it's 900 calories, 1,000 calories right there.
If you eat a box of craft dinner
for like one meal.
Yeah.
Like,
hasn't?
and then all of a sudden you're like, well, that's and then it, like from like a protein standpoint, the protein is just from the milk and the butter that you put in it.
Right.
So it's like very minimal. I've been doing like a protein pasta with cottage cheese, blending the cottage cheese, add in, and then just pepper, garlic, and a little bit of turmeric for the color. And it has a very nice taste, but then I feel like a lot better about that choice. I don't do that one often because I don't find that I get enough volume out of it. But it is a good, like, if you are craving it, it's like a good kind of replacement. But that's just like, for me, that's kind of all it's been. It's just like foods that I like, that I get enough volume for me, and everybody's different too. So it's like, what is a good amount of volume for one person is not going to be the same for another person. So I think it's very individual. But at the end of the day, like, just making a long way.
I think I read the other day on your Facebook, you've lost 40 pounds now?
45.
45, and your goal is how many?
80.
You're just over halfway there.
Yeah, my goal is to get down to, it was initially 185, but I dropped it down to 180, and I might drop it.
Yeah.
I like, there's a part of me that wants to go all the way down to 160 just to say that I lost triple digits, but I also don't think, I don't know.
I don't know if 160 is
160 feels like it's going to be too thin. And I don't know. So we'll see. I might do
eating
it.
disorder isn't on the
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what it's like as I get closer. But yeah, 180 is kind of.
And how long have you been doing this? How long is it taking you to lose those 45 pounds?
Over.
Wow, that's amazing. It feels like when you see it just intermittently on your feed, it's like, holy shit, that was just 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But that's not true.
Yeah, and it was like the first, but that's another thing too, is like in the beginning, like and this is why I like deep diving into everything too and understanding it. So like sodium retains a lot of water. Sodium is used for brines and cooking for that sole purpose of making leaner cuts of meat more juicy and flavorful. So like that's what it does to a body too. And then like carbs give like glycogen in the muscles, so like that retains water too. So when you have more carbs and more sodium in your day-to-day life, you're just retaining more water. So like the moment you kind of start a cleaner lifestyle, you'll generally see like a huge weight loss very quickly just of water weight, because you're no longer marinating in salt and carbs. But
I prefer to refer to that as preserving myself for the
future. Yeah, that's true. You think theoretically you'd live longer, because
your body will.
You're preserving everything. Yeah. Yeah, so like I lost a lot quickly. Since the summer, it's still been like, I guess maybe more aggressive than some people, but like a lot in comparison. But I also like enjoying myself. I know I could lose it more aggressively. I know I could keep going out for ice cream with the family. Like,
but then you make yourself miserable.
But that's the thing, and it's like, and also it's this time of year especially, like in the like for the most part, like I work long days, so like usually 4 days of the week I am super like locked in, and then it's 3 days of the week a lot more lean, home more.
Yeah.
With the family, and so it's just like I can still structure it in a way, but I know that I could be perfect if I wanted, but then that's not
fun. If you're not living, that's part of our motto, right? Eat, live, move. Is if you're not living, and
yeah, but even like so like we'll go to McDonald's, I'll get a burger, but I don't get the fries. Usually get a drink. Go home, like, but it's just like I'll do that because I know that I can have a burger for like, but like a lot of times I will skip out on some things like that too if I wasn't prepared for it, and I don't like if I'm like, oh, I only have roughly left,
right,
I might not want a burger, and then but like if I still have like 1,000 calories left, a little bit more eating that, because then I know I still have 400 to play with more like real food at home. So that's just like kind of a choice that I make. It's still like I'll still have fun, but I still always want to kind of have the structure to it so that I continue working towards. And then the other thing that's also helped me is that right now I'm eating in a deficit, but when I get to my goal weight, the maintenance calories is more than what I'm eating now too.
Right.
So I know that this is like it's temporary in the sense that like but maybe 6 months from now I'll be able to eat a little bit more than what I'm already. That is always a nice feeling.
Yeah.
In your journey, have you consulted any medical professionals or anything on your way, particularly where you are afflicted with?
No.
No.
I do when I first when I was first diagnosed, like I talked to my doctor, just I talked to this. And I got a lot of information there, and it was enough that I
Yeah,
for this
totally.
too.
So what made you decide to post your journey online? Why did you start posting stuff?
Ego, probably. I don't like
That's
so
fair.
I haven't performed a whole lot in the last few years. There was a while where like my wife, her work schedule and mine were like very, and there was like 2 kids to deal with for like for a while. We didn't have daycare. Those Laura's parents were all the time. So I always hated like, can you watch her so I can go do this show that's gonna
Right.
pay me not even enough money to cover the gas to go do the show.
Even locally.
And then so then it became like that was like an element of it, and then the other element of it was just not. I always hated when I first started, seeing people only doing paid shows, doing the same material that they'd been doing for like 10 years. And I was like, that's the only direction that I can see myself going if I'm not kind of grinding, if I'm not going out and hitting like and stuff. And I would rather not perform than perform, be the thing that I hated kind of when I was first starting. So that was like part of it as well. And then the other thing was just like I feel like I hit like midlife crisis.
Fair.
I ran into this like I didn't know. It was almost like what led me to starting stand up of like not feeling like I had a purpose, where like I felt kind of similar in the sense of like I had made stand up kind of my only focus, and then I was in a position where I was balancing that and like a family, and I didn't want to sacrifice, especially the young years when like my kids wanna hang out with me. I want to
When they like you.
sacrifice. I don't want to sacrifice that. I don't want to like have any regrets being older, because I know that's like a big part of it. The weekends are like when you get the best shows, so it's like for me to have to like leave and be gone to do a show, and then also like I got into this like position of like treating stand up and like I like business, I like stand up, and I never wanted to treat stand up like business in the sense of like I was making a decision simply from the the money. Like I never wanted to do a corporate show if I was on what I could talk about. But I never did a whole lot of corporate shows. And it's kind of became that position where like I would say yes to a show to like headline because I knew what the paycheck was, but then I wasn't doing the open mics to kind of prepare for that, and then I felt like it was a disservice to the people that were putting in the work and the people that are putting on the show and the people that are buying tickets, and to me, I was just like, I would rather allow those opportunities to go to the people that are putting in the work. And I'm okay with just taking a step back. And then the other part is just like, from like a career standpoint, I just felt like for the first time, I was like, I don't know what I want to do the rest of my working life and figure that out. That was like a big part of like me kind of taking a step back from stand up, and then all the things that I've been kind of like learning and putting a lot of my time into over the last like year and a half. Posting was just like, I always felt weird like when I like post stuff about marketing and like post stuff about like AI or whatever. Like I was kind of like learning, and then but like so I was like always like I'd post some things and I'm like, I don't like, it feels weird. It feels like cringy. But like weight loss is just I feel like it's like the first thing where I'm like, this is like one of those things where it's like in marketing they talk about total addressable market. Um in like I was like, this is something that like there's a lot of people that may find interest in this, or it may help them in some capacity. Where I'm like, me posting stuff about marketing is really just for the other comics that care. And most of them don't. So it's like, who is it for? But then like me posting about like, oh, this has helped me with like being able to like eat something that I wanted to eat, but like high in calories. So here's like, alternative, or like this is blah, blah, blah. That's just these different things, because they know that there's a lot of people that are like trying to make changes and don't know where to start. And it's like overwhelming. And then it's, especially when you get into like the internet, it's just like, who do you trust? Because
everyone has
you can find success with everything, with keto, with like all this, but like if you go keto and you don't go low enough in your carbs, then you just have that like keto flu all the time.
Yeah.
Because you're giving your body just enough carbs that the fat, it's not kicking into ketosis. So you're just running off of carbs, but it's not enough. So you're just like barely getting by. So you have to like drop your carbs more to then get to the point that you're using fat as fuel, and then eventually you're fine. But then you can't have a cheat day, because the moment you have a cheat day, you kick yourself out of ketosis, and it takes longer. It's not like just having a cheat day on like a regular type of a diet, or like a cheat meal or something, where it's just like you're just basing it off of kind of your calories as a whole. So like that was like a big thing with like finding something that was going to allow me to kind of be fine in any social situation, and know that it wasn't going to completely destroy any progress that I made. But then also like posting was just like, this has helped me, and you know me. So there's like already that kind of some built-in trust, as opposed to just trusting someone on the internet that's maybe just trying to sell you something.
I don't know if you know this about yourself, but when you were posting all of the marketing stuff, you're a very well respected person. And it's funny, when you're talking about marketing, I've never heard one person complain about it, and I hang out with a lot of people who we both know would complain about it if there was something to be complained about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're a very critical bunch, some of them.
But
and also when it comes to the weight loss thing, there are some people who could be posting that and it would come off so cringy, and with you it genuinely does not. And I think it has a part and parcel with the fact that you're very well respected, you're very well liked, and because you're likable, like because you're a nice person and smart person, and people genuinely respect that. And in saying that, I guess when you're probably listening with something more personal, like a weight loss journey, where you seem to have almost a disconnect with it as well. Maybe this is a poor analysis of it, but you're like, yeah, no, this is just something I'm doing and I'm posting about it, but it doesn't have that deep emotional reverence that it does with me for my own journey. Because I mean, you were not called fat, so when you're in elementary school and like all this other stuff attached to it, perhaps. But how do you find the comment section on these things? Like, one of the things we have talked about this on the podcast is that people, this has happened to me when I've lost a chunk of weight, I get way more adulation for that than I do for some success in comedy, some success in my career. Any other facet of my life is literally like, oh my God, you lost 50 pounds. That's incredible. Look at you go. And I'm like, yeah, I also, not that I want to be like that, but like, that's great. I'm happy about it too. But that's not the only good thing I'm doing.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is that weight loss is like something that some people have a hard time like finding like a connection between success in one area. So like if you do something in stand up, but nobody, none of the masses, unless they're another comic, have experience in stand, they can't like associate it with as like success in like golf or whatever they're kind of interested in. But like weight loss, I feel like people don't necessarily view it as like a skill or like a hobby or like a passion, I guess, that someone might have. So they see like all the, whether it's affected them in some capacity or someone that they know, and it can be a little bit more as personal in that sense, that like it seems to get there's a comment you get, there's one, people that you know, everybody's just like, oh, like congrats, like everybody's like excited, but then also there's like the coin flip of like there's people that can just probably like strangers and stuff like that. I don't have to deal with that, but I read a lot of comments on other people's posts. Anyone that's gained any like social media success with like weight loss, deal with a lot of shitty people online, which is insane to me that like you could ever say anything negative about somebody trying to lose weight. But I think part of it is just because it's like they view it like through like the lens of like health and like fitness and stuff like that,
or perceived health and
like,
fitness.
And I think that's kind of part of it too. But it's like
easy to relate to, I guess.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Even though like other things like success at work, success at, like they can impact mental health, which is still like, so it's still can be.
I'm not, in no way am I complaining. It's
no, I know.
Like, I'm happy with whatever.
But it is, I've noticed that too, where like you like do something that you're like proud of, and then you get like nothing, and you're like, what the? And then, but then you do something like this, and it's just like, oh, congrats, and you're like, okay, thanks.
It's what was I gonna say? Oh, and then I noticed the one exchange I was gonna ask you about, people who are trying to like encourage but almost critique. Like I noticed Eric Chase, I'll be like, oh well, you can't just do it without exercise and that kind of thing. Yeah. How do you take that kind of feedback?
Don't care. But I don't think that it's bad. Like I think
it's
just
like, it's good advice, but
and I also like the other thing too. So like I consumed like an insane amount of like business like content over the last year because I've been working on some things behind the scenes. Sounds weird, but
that sounds very cagey. Are you drug dealer?
Yeah. Just learning how to do it a little more efficiently. But no, it's just like never take advice from someone that hasn't done that thing that they're giving advice on. Because
which I think Eric has.
Yes, Eric has.
Yeah.
And so like that's why like because it's like if the advice that they were giving was good advice, then they would have done it themselves.
Yeah.
Or else weight loss can be a little bit different because some people could do the thing to lose the weight but also not care enough about it,
or there's other facets at play. There's all kinds of
it might be a little bit different, but like that was like that's kind of how I view like those types of things. It's just like if that person is where I want to be or has done what I'm trying to do, then I still think take it with a grain of salt. But like I also and what he said was not nothing bad anyway.
No. I was just curious how you felt about the discourse. Is it helpful, I guess, is it really the question to you?
I mean I already know it's true, so it doesn't make a difference. It might be helpful for other people, and I think that's there's like a benefit
a lot of the reason you're doing it.
So it's just like any anything that can be viewed as like constructive is, I think, beneficial to someone. So
Yeah,
the more the merrier.
that's cool.
It also helps the algorithm. Engagement helps. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, keep it
so
coming.
that's the ego part.
do you track that?
I look at it. I don't particularly care.
You're not like adjusting your wording on your next weight loss post based on the algorithm.
I mean, I like, if I cared enough, I would just post even more. And I would do like I know what needs to be done if I wanted a chance.
Mhm.
I don't care enough to it.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
It's
Oh, it's been very interesting. I do appreciate you coming on the podcast to chat about it, because I've been watching it and I'm like, hey Isaiah, have you seen Matt's have you seen Matt's Facebook?
Always. Always.
And it's been a really revealing and interesting conversation, and I very much appreciate you coming on and joining us here these last couple of weeks.
Last 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been fun sleepovers.
I know, right? It's
Yeah.
great. It's great.
2 week shut in.
But do you have any last final thoughts before we close it out, Matt?
Final thoughts, grand advice, best single piece of advice you could give someone?
That's a
Just
no.
yeah, no, I don't know. I think kind of I've probably talked about enough about it. Rewatch the podcast. That's the
Start from the beginning.
If you want a single piece of advice, rewatch it and determine what is the most valuable piece of advice for your use case.
Perfect. Caitlin, where can people find us on the internet?
You can find us at Kate and Isaiah Living Large on Facebook and Instagram, where people will find you.
You can find me at Maritime Brews on all the social medias. Of course, again, we still have the Buy Me a Coffee going to help improve the studio space. And you can like, share, subscribe wherever you listen or watch this at. That'd be much appreciated. But until next week, bye.
Bye.